I totally did that on purpose, just to get the engagement up. You know, it was entirely yeah. I meant it. I promise, I meant it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you doing today? There you go. At least it got some of you talking in the chat. Say hi in the chat if you are here. Say hello. It is the 16th of July. I always forget what day it is because I'm very forgetful and everything. But I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm feeling fresh today, ready to go. I was really tired yesterday because it was a very long weekend and I was very sad that England lost the football. Dave's in the chat, he'll know. We had Dave came over and we watched the game and we were very depressed and yeah. So I was in a bit of a beer and pizza coma yesterday. but it's all good. Right. Who do we have here? We got Cons. Good morning. Kalechi. Good morning. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Nuno. Hope today is going to be a good trading day for all. I think so. It's some very nice price action we're getting now, again, at last, which is good. So yeah, we'll cover that. There's some good stuff to cover today. So I think yesterday it was all a little bit like, okay, we're a little bit just stuck in nowhere, because when I did the stream yesterday, we hadn't taken the highs or anything. We were still expecting that to happen. We were just chilling around monthly open. There wasn't a lot to go off of, but now we've had this other expansion and we've actually had a nice dip. So some nice price action to sink our teeth into today, which is really good. So yeah, a lot to cover. I think it will be a good day. Who else do we have in here? I've said hello to Jim already. Meso Hero, welcome. Wahab, welcome. Mark Elliott, Mido, Ragdogs, Carlo, Jambi, and anyone who's watching over on X, please say hi in the chat over there as well. I see that there's 57 views on X, and I see that we're around about the same number here on YouTube. So smash the like button. Let's make sure these likes, we want to have a lot more likes than this. 5 guys. 5 guys. 6 guys now. Come on. Push up the like button. Hit it. Let's get it at least to like 20. Before we start. 9 guys, right? And yeah, if you are again here, then say hi. Oh, there's a few more. I didn't scroll down. We got a few more. So where did I get to? I got to Jambi. So yeah, David Urban, good morning. Ovo Cow, make BTC pump or I unsub. I mean, what's it been doing for the last couple of days? So you can't unsub me because we've retraced like the majority now of the last like 6 weeks of price action. So yeah. Yo from UK, Joe McDonald. Good. It's actually a nice. Well, it was sunny. It was sunny when I woke up. It's starting to get a little bit less sunny again now. Sad. Like this summer. Has this been the same for the rest of you guys? Like, I think this has been the worst summer of all time ever in the history of humans. I don't think, certainly in my lifetime, I have never ever experienced such a shit summer as this year. It's just been gray. And it was almost the same as like the winter. It's like we used to have seasons in this country and we used to have seasons in Europe. And those seasons have now just been like, it's like you used to have like nice, think of like paints on a little painting tray, and you had the nice blues and stuff in the winter, and then you had the greens in the spring, the yellows and the reds in the summer, and then like the browns in the autumn, in the fall. And now it's like someone's come along and just go, and it's just all shit grey now, just different shades of shitty grey. And that's how it's been forever. Like, we don't have a winter anymore. It's just wet and windy and miserable and rainy, and it doesn't actually get very cold. And then in the summer, it's just wet and grey and miserable and rainy again. I always complain about it. It's just so depressing. I'm so happy. Like, I have 6 weeks left in this country. I'm starting to get excited. 6 weeks left, and then I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm out of here. I'm out of here, which is going to be a massive shock to the system, but I'm excited by it. So, yeah. Autumn is still okay. I mean, autumn is grey anyway, but so that's the thing. You don't really get like like autumn's normally quite nice after you've had a nice summer, because you kind of appreciate the grey after lots of blue skies. But this time we haven't had any blue skies, so it's like we're just permanently in autumn. Wajib, no, I'm doing Southeast Asia. I live in the UK at the moment, but I'm going to Southeast Asia, so I'm going to be doing Bali, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia over the winter. And then next year I'm going to do Japan, Korea, and China. And yeah, I'm just going to be a homeless bum traveling the world and trading and taking my little work setup. So it's going to be cool. I'm excited for it. I've already moved out of one place, and now I'm like packing everything up here, moving everything into storage gradually, and then goodbye life in the UK. Been to all those except Singapore and Bali. Yeah, I mean, Thailand, I think Thailand's probably going to end up being my base. Like, it's insane, right? I should show you guys on a stream sometime, like, what I can get in Bangkok, because I think I'm going to have that as like a base, just like set up base in Bangkok, because I think that's like, it's starting to become a real like emerging place for, like, they've got real nice places there now. It's almost like, it seems like it's, and I have some friends that are over there, and it's like, it's almost becoming like a Dubai. You've got really lovely areas. You've got the culture and everything as well, but you've got really lovely areas in Bangkok that's more of like the financial center of the city, the real nice modern buildings, the modern architecture, which I really like as well. And it's so cheap, man. It's like a quarter of the price that I'm paying for stuff over here, or if I was to go to Dubai or something, like literally a quarter of the price. It's insane. So I'm very excited for that. And it means I can keep my bull market gains. Whereas where I'm here, every time I take a trade or anything, I'm like, oh shit, I've got like rent to pay and I've got all of this other stuff to pay. So all good. Cool. Okay, we've got a few more people jumping in here now. So, yeah, I always like to have a bit of a chit chat before I get started with the proper TA, because we have some laggards. We've got we've doubled the viewer count, so I better get started before all the people that come along and then start disappearing. So I think I will probably just stop the music and get straight into a Bitcoin analysis. We'll do an Ethereum analysis, and then we'll do some altcoins. We may touch upon legacy markets as well. So, if you want to, if you like that, if you like the analysis, make sure you hit the like button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, if there is anybody here that's new to the channel, I know it's a very quiet market at the moment, even though we're having a bit of a move up. It's an extremely quiet market, probably the quietest I've ever seen it. But if you are new here, then do go and check out tauruscrypto.com. You can find out more information about our crew, about our community. So we do have a trading community, Discord community, where we there's a really active community that's always trading, and there's some nice stuff going on over there as well. Cake's just come back from holiday this week, so for all you legacy market people, then of course he's back. So going to be running, Cake's doing his his legacy market stream on Thursday. First one since he's been away for a couple of weeks on holiday. And we're going to get back into doing a lot more trading of the Nasdaq and the S&Ps and everything over the next week or so. Yeah, well, the Discord, this is the thing. The Discord's locked off, so the only way to access the Discord is now by joining the crew. There shouldn't have actually been any active links for the Discord, so scammers like stole some links and it was crazy. It's just insane, like how scammy people are. But yeah. Meme coin's looking strong today. At least we all know the only reason why you want to go there. Ping pong. Gotta see the girls with the ping pong balls up there. Vajazzles. No. I'm going there to see the world. I want to stay away from like the real like touristy crazy stuff. I'm so done with that. Like I just want to chill. Just want to go over there and chill, but also have like a nice base whilst I'm there as well. Anyway, who was that just subscribed? I think I missed it. I missed the subscriber thing, but thank you for whoever that was that subscribed. I think I saw out the corner of my eye it was Dan. Maybe I got the name wrong, but yes, thank you for subscribing. And all right, I keep checking the chat. Right, must close chat so I don't get distracted. We'll get back into the traveling stuff in a little bit, and yeah, I'm going to get straight into the Bitcoin analysis. Now, I don't understand why every time I press record, there's like a 10-second delay. So I'm going to try and time this better because all the videos lately, it's been cutting off the beginning, but it's fine. Let's stop the music. Let's press record, and then we'll begin. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's video. It is Tuesday, the 16th of July, 2024. This is your Bitcoin market update. And yeah, we've had a very nice start to the week, really. Now, this has been quite similar to what I spoke about on yesterday's update, how we've had the Monday pump. And this is something that we've been seeing quite often. Like the majority of this range has always been a Monday pump. And then it tends to get retraced afterwards. But on this occasion, we did get that continuation a little bit towards the end of yesterday. And we're seeing a pullback today, but we're coming back into support. So I think this is a really interesting moment within the market. Is this a bigger shift? Are we seeing a bigger shift in momentum here from the downtrend that we've had? I mean, there hasn't been a higher high. The market hasn't printed a higher high like it did yesterday since May. And we've been in this relentless downtrend as well since the beginning of June, because that was the last higher high. Yes, I know on purpose we did come up in SFP this, but you can't consider that a higher high. So that was the last one. And then it's just been downtrend ever since. And the recovery that we've seen has been, I'd say, perfect, pretty much perfect. There's one level above that I'd be interested in, which is that 67K point of control. However, where we are now, this has done what I would have wanted to see as just a typical mean reversion. This is the bounce after you get a capitulation. Now, ideally, I'd like to see us range again once we've had this bounce. If this can extend to 67, great. If it can extend to 67, we just go level to level. If it gets through 67, we're going to 72. But for now, I do think that what we've seen this morning with this bit of a move down has prepped us quite nicely for a new range to form. We've got a decent, if we come back down to where this VWAP is to here, there's a decent 5% range to trade here, which as a trader is quite nice. We haven't really had a range of this size for quite some time that wasn't just clearly like one direction. When we had this low, then we knew that the only trades that we could be looking for realistically were longs. Okay, we were expecting after taking the lows that we were going to be seeing a bounce, and it was just a case of buy dip, hold it. And now finally we've had that expansion up to take out some highs to get a bit of a change in market structure. That's going to bring in some late longs into the equation, which have been stopped out this morning. And that should mean that instead of it just being like shorts in complete control, like we had on the move down, longs getting completely wrecked every time. We now have a bit more of a balanced two-sided market, which means that we can trade in both directions with a little bit more confidence, which is very, very nice to see. Now, where we are on this chart, I mean, it's very, very clear. We have bounced into, and I'm just going to zoom out slightly so you guys can see. We'll do a little bit of top-down analysis. There was one gap on the weekly time frame. Okay, we had this gap between that 65K down to 63,800. There was that 1 week gap, and that has now been entirely filled. So if we look at the daily, we had that close that almost closed through the entirety of that gap there. This being the price action that we saw from that week of Monday, the 17th of June, taking us to the 23rd of June. So that week there, filling the gap that was created between the 2 weeks either side of that. And what we've also seen here, the 4 hour being the real nice time frame to be looking at and to be trading right now, is this was that weekly point of control. So I'll just make this a little bit clearer so you can see. There is your weekly POC, slap bang on that 618 golden pocket level. So that's 64,916. 65K basically had the confluence there where we had the weekly NPOC. We had the gap, the top of the gap, we had the 618. Now this is also clear from a TPO perspective, right? If we look at this chart here, then once again, when we look at the TPO, we did have both the time and the volume points of control around here. Now my VPOC, and this is on an aggregated chart, so what I was showing you on TradingView just a moment ago is Coinbase, and that's what I'm using mostly because that is where we're seeing most of the volume right now, and that is the market that's leading. Like when we're seeing that spot is buying, the moves tend to get those continuations. Like we've actually seen a strong recovery from the spot market from Coinbase. And for the last couple of weeks, we'd had serious weakness from Coinbase with a lot of selling going on. And perps are just really just kind of chopping around in between that. There's not a whole lot going on there. So for me, the Coinbase chart is what's really giving the edge for myself at the moment. But also looking at these aggregated charts, we can see here that VPOC at 65,100, you can essentially say if I change the tick size by like 10% here, it will probably shift to 65K by the time that I do that. So it's very, very close. That 65K is a key level where we do have confluence. Now, the other interesting thing that we have here is from where we are right now, this did break through that anchored VWAP where we have from this entire move down, we do have that anchored VWAP that has been essentially, acting as resistance the whole way down. And we're now starting to hold that potentially as support. So I'll pop it back over here where this is a little bit clearer. So you can see the VWAP from this high back on the 7th of June. This now for the first time potentially acting as support. And this brings us into the next thing that I'd like to talk about, which is what my bias has been for a while now, but that we are in a reaccumulation schematic. And we can look at this as the jump the creek scenario. So when we're looking at reaccumulation, we are looking for a spring, first of all, which is to take out major lows to come into liquidity. And then subsequently, what we want to see is a bounce that gets through the major resistance on the chart, flips it into support, and then we can start to look for new highs after that. Now, it doesn't mean that we're just going to blast to new highs, but I do think that like my bias is I'm fairly confident. And like I've said in previous streams, I don't really care if it does go lower, because what I am certain of is that we are going higher this year. And what I'm very uncertain of is that we're going to go any lower. So for me, the even if you were expecting like 52K, 48K, 44K, I still think it would have been wise to have taken some exposure on the last dip, because the only thing that, in my opinion, is certain is that 54K will seem incredibly cheap in 6 months' time. So Yeah, that has been my bias for some time, and what I've been kind of reiterating is that you don't need to time the exact lows, because they are going to be fairly insignificant, whether we bottom on 54k or bottom on 52k, or indeed even go down below 50k's down to the 48s or whatever. I think that's fairly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So getting exposure whenever there are lows, I think, is quite important. Now, something else I did want to touch upon here is also the reaccumulation schematic. Now, this has been something that I think has been quite clear for a while now. So any Wyckoff people that if you study this, then you'll know what we essentially have within this range, okay, is I could almost look at this section on the chart here being the phase A, where you make this high and you drop into a range. Okay, because that was the first time that we saw any major rejections. So back on the 5th of March, such a long time ago, back on the 5th of March was the first time we saw any rejection from this uptrend. Then what happened is we made a higher high, creating divergences. This is why I've got my my RSI on here. We had the high, the initial high, the first rejection, the first flush, all right, which we're looking at that phase A. We came back up, made a new high with divergence, coming into this phase B section. We then have this long phase B that comes down, takes out these lows, first of all. All right, you come down here, you take out these lows, you have this initial spring, right? So a little bit of a spring early on within this reaccumulation, comes back up, all right, lower high here. So you distribution up towards the highs, similar to what we see here. Right, come back down, then we get the proper spring in phase C, which is what we've seen here. And now what we're essentially looking for, I don't know if you can see this, but you have this thing called jump the creek. Now what I look for from that is the way that I mark this as strength. When the market can break through this, I use an anchored VWAP from this high. So the way that I would mark out any like Wyckoff accumulation or indeed distribution, I would take the basically looking at the resistance that comes from this high during phase B to be broken through that phase C, phase D, and then we look for that expansion higher. So essentially this is what I mean, and you see this with altcoins all the time, is we're looking at this high here. That is the river that you've got to cross in order to flip that from what has been resistance into support. If it can hold, we are expecting new highs. Now, I don't think that I don't know if we're ready to see a big expansive move once again here. Maybe we are. Maybe we are. We have seen this previously, okay, where as soon as we start going, and I was saying yesterday, it looks like it's very similar to back here. Right, what's going on the chart right now looks incredibly similar to what happened back in February. Okay, you had that big drop, you had the spring, a reaccumulation, a slightly different schematic here because you did make a new high and then you sprung, then you reaccumulate, and then once again you do this jump the creek kind of thing. Okay, so once you clear this, flip it into support like it did here, right? So you flip it, hold to support for a week or two, and then you get that continuation. I think we are seeing a similar thing here where we've seen that big markup taking us back towards highs, and then maybe we do see this continuation up towards 100k over the next few weeks. Now, the preference for myself is, of course, like I say, I'm not looking for that to happen immediately. I would like to see consolidation around here. I'd like to see this just confirm as like, okay, we're all right here. We're looking good. And then what we get is that markup later on. We're always looking at like August, September, October to be the next big rally towards the latter stages of Q3. And as we go into Q4, that's when I was like, okay, we're going to be hyper bullish end of Q3, Q4 going into next year. But until then, I think still keep things fairly slow, keep things fairly calm, and just trade within this range here. So as long as we're holding, and it's okay to run below it, but as long as we are within the vicinity of, and you can look at that with your standard deviation bands. As long as we're within the vicinity of this VWAP, I think all is okay. We can be expecting higher prices. If we do start to lose 60K again at this stage, then that's when I would start to flip bearish. But any move down towards 60K, I would consider as a strong buying opportunity, and that is where I would look to add to any long positions that I've got, which are quite a lot right now, quite a lot of long positions right now. I would look to add to those, expecting that we are going to be making new all-time highs next month, the month after that, and just going into a every day is a new all-time high, every day is a new all-time high kind of situation. That is my expectation, and that has been my bias for quite some time. I was slightly wrong with the long, slow summer thing. Now, what I was looking at previously is there are two different ways that you can look at these schematics. So what my previous plan was, and I had mentioned this on streams before, I was thinking we may have seen something like this, okay, where you have the same phase A and B, right? You still come up and you make this lower high, and then you have what I was saying as the long, slow summer, which would for me have been a situation where we come down, we don't take out the lows, we don't get the spring, because essentially we'd already had it, right? We'd already done it once. We weren't going to get it again. And then we could see the long summer that then takes us to new all-time highs afterwards. That was initially my bias. Now, because we took out the lows, all right, it's just changed that first schematic that we see here into the one that I do believe we are now almost certainly in, which is this one right here. So subtle differences, but the same outcome at the end of the day, okay? You still jump that creek. The only difference is we've taken out those phase B lows. We have created a second spring, but the outcome afterwards does end up as much higher prices, which, again, going back to what I said previously, I don't think it really matters about timing the bottom. I just think if you see dips, you should be exposed to those dips. And if you're not, then it's a little bit silly, because what are you left doing now is prices up from a really good opportunity to buy. We're up 20%, right? Now, I still believe that even here at 62K is a good opportunity to buy, because I do strongly believe we're going to be massively surpassing 100K by the time that the election is going on, for example. I do believe that that's going to happen, but you had a good opportunity down here. And I think most people, as is always the case, most people did miss that opportunity, because what happens when price is going down? Who are the loudest voices? Who are the people that are most confident? Because price is going down, it's the bears that are screaming the loudest, and that creates fear within the market by everyone thinking, oh my God, we've taken these lows, we must be going to 44K. I'm not going to buy now because everyone's telling me we're going lower. It's insignificant. Yes, okay, it could have gone lower, but it hasn't. Right? And you don't know that that's going to happen. And the people who are telling you with absolute confidence when price is going down like this, that, oh, we're still going lower, we're still going lower, that's what creates the fear. And that is what has created on a couple of occasions below, right? When price came to 72K, I bet most people were like, oh, I wish I had more exposure. I wish we could just drop below 60K again. What happens when they drop below 60K? Everyone gets bearish. You're too scared to buy. Then price bounces and they're like, shit, I should have bought. And then everyone's telling you new all-time highs are about to happen. Yeah. And what do? They buy the top. And then price naturally comes back down. They buy the top because they wish they bought here. And then they're still hoping. They're like, oh, I wish we could just go back down there again, but it's probably not going to happen. Everyone's telling me we're going to new all-time highs. So they buy it here. What happens again here? They are wrecked from this move down, from buying too high. And B, they're not buying the dip because they're listening to the voices that are telling them that 44K is coming. And then once again here, you get this little middle ground and no one really knows what to do here, because they're like, it's too high to long. But it's not high enough to short yet, and people get caught up, and then we start to put in a little range. We just wreck people around a little bit, and then we get that continuation. So that's the kind of the market we've been seeing recently. It hasn't been easy. It really hasn't been easy, and that is why for myself, I have been much more long time, like a higher time frame perspective with the market. Overall, like I do have that just longer term view. For myself, I know the conditions aren't favorable to trade for my trading style at the moment. So I just don't really bother with it. I just look for my longer term positions. I just buy into the dips, and I know that I'm going to be rewarded for that in the future. And if I'm not, okay, if the bull market is over, which is highly unlikely, highly unlikely. But if the bull market is for some crazy reason over already, which just makes zero sense at all, then I take that hit and I take the drawdown and so on. Like I'm exposed and I'm fully confident in my idea. And that's the way that I've myself have been trading. But anyway, I go off on a tangent because that's the way that I'm trading right now. It is from a longer, like a broader time horizon, so it's not so much day-to-day technical that I'm looking at. Some other things that I do think we can touch upon quickly. I do see a comment in the chat. There is a CME gap. Yes, there is a CME gap. And I'd be entirely okay for that to get a fill, a partial fill, get a bit of a sweep down there. I think that would be okay. But what we see often in this is a gap that is created from a move like this. Okay, it doesn't really, you do get breakaway gaps. They do happen. All right. And if breakaway gaps do happen, the things that you don't want to see are when you get a shift in the market, it does create gaps, and that is just very normal when you get this big shift. And we've seen this previously. Okay, we can go back all the way back to, I mean, here, yeah, okay, you do get these breakaway gaps. This was the last time that we had like a major one. Everyone was expecting it to get filled, all right, and it never did. Never, ever did it get filled. Now, the ones that you have to be aware of are these middle of trend gaps. Okay, so when you're already trending, the ones that you have to be aware of, if price is doing this, okay, and then suddenly it's like boom, and it gaps up, yes, the market will seek to do that, to come back and fill it. But what you have, if you're in this downtrend, it's very normal, and we see this from legacy markets all the time, to go gap up, just get away, because you don't want to give an opportunity ever for these short positions to get out. All right, that's a shift in the market. It's a shift in momentum. It should never come back there. If it does come back there, those shorts are no longer trapped, and therefore we likely go lower. So if we are seeing a major pivot, and it happens on highs as well, where you'll put in a high, and there have been examples of it here, okay? You put in a high, you gap down, that has been a major shift in the momentum from the market. It doesn't come back to get it. Now, of course, eventually, after a few months, you do, because naturally markets just always go higher, and that's just the way that things work. The downside is only ever corrective, unless it's going to zero, unless it's dying. But if it's a decent market, if it's a healthy market, markets only ever go up, all right? Unless a company dies, or unless Bitcoin goes to zero and the whole network collapses, it will go up. That's just markets, because cash is shit and sucks. But you get the idea. These breakaway gaps do happen, right? But it's the ones that are in the middle of the trend that you do have to be aware of. I could consider this as a breakaway gap, okay? Because this is a shift, and as long as we are staying above there and not filling it, then that is bullish. If we do come down and fill it, then I'd start to change my idea. I've marked it on my chart. It is a level that I would look to trade off of. Okay, and if we actually look at this from here, where is that? All right, we can just go to this. It takes us back down into what will probably be, right? Into what will probably be. We mark our low here. We mark our high here. The gap will have been at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Where is 8 p.m. on that Friday night? It is, oh, look, it's at our golden pocket. So if we do retrace from this and we do come back down to 58, now I don't want to see acceptance down at 58, but if we do say we drop, we put in a bit of a downtrend, we start to shake people out, and we get a quick recovery from that, then I think that is absolutely fine. Like I say, I'm still expecting fairly slow price action, a range to form, I'm not looking for new all-time highs already. A 61.8% retrace back down to fill the gap would be cool, but if we are truly bullish, we shouldn't be going back down there. So preference to me is, yes, we still form a range here. I'm not sure if we go as low as 58. We could do a partial gap fill down to 60, for example, just dip a little bit below 60, keep ourselves within the vicinity of this VWAP and just start to consolidate around that before an eventual break that takes us like August, September is when we're looking at like those trending moves to start again. Anything else with the Bitcoin chart that we can have a look at? Is there anything else from here? Because I think we can probably, like, other things to consider is anchored VWAPs from these lows. Okay, that now becomes important support. If we were to get a quick drop down, then that will come into these anchored VWAPs here. That would be the gap fill, that would be all of that. So that's potentially something we can be looking at. We don't really have any major news or anything today. I don't know if there's anything that could really move the market enough to get a drop straight away. And by the time that this maybe does come down there, that anchor VWAP's likely to be up towards that weekly open kind of area again. The other thing that it is worth noting, of course, if we are looking for downside, is there's not much of a wick on that weekly open. All right, it did open strong. We do have a lot of weekend price action that could be corrective. But again, it just goes back to the thing, like if we are to be lucky enough to get a move down to 58K, I think that would be a fantastic opportunity to bid into that area. The only time that you'd start to become concerned about that, I would probably say is, let's look at this range at the bottom. Let's say acceptance below that POC would start to look a little bit sketchy. So there's a lot of stuff lining up. When we look at that as the spring, okay, to come back in and test it, to come back down, fill the gap, hit 58K, hit the 618, fine. But what you really do not want to see, and we have seen occasions like this before, is a drop below, and then we start to butt up against that as resistance. And then that's when we start to look for 52, 48, all of those levels. But still, in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion, it would be insignificant. And we've had opportunities to take profit in the meantime. Anything else that we want to cover today? I think really like the order flow is, I mean, we'll touch upon it. So if I just bring up not XO, I'll bring, and we'll have a look at this. We've seen a pretty good, pretty strong bid from spot. I need to reload this and bring it up over here. Let's just bring this onto the 5-minute chart. Now this had been through the last week or so where what we had seen, okay, was that spot was leading the recovery. Okay, then what happened in the final leg, which is why we've seen, like, I like what we've seen this morning. I like what I'm waking up to, is we go to this second part of the chart here. What happened here is, for the first time, perps played catch up. All right, they overtook spot from a delta point of view. So you look at this spot leading, spot leading, spot leading. You're creating these bullish divergences and perps. What happens right on the end is very typical. It always happens. Late longs get trapped, then they get wrecked. What we also had up there was that weakness from spot. Okay, you can see that when price was up here at 63, there was profit taking going on. Okay, price makes a higher high. The delta cannot continue to push through that. You don't have that continued strength here. And then you do get this rollover as late longs start to join in the party. They get trapped. Now what are we doing? We are creating some bullish divergences again here. So I do think a range forming between the 62 to 60 to 65 level is what we're most likely to see at this stage. And when you actually look at the chart here, there's some nice imbalances that can come back in, fill in some of this, maybe test up towards that 64,600 before getting another retrace lower. So now we finally do, like yesterday was a bit of one of those that I was kind of saying during the stream and during the video, there's not a whole lot of confluence we can really work on here, but now we've got that confluence, we've got levels locally that we can look at, we've got nice single prints that have formed, and then you can just start to trade it in this kind of manner, really. Okay, you've got a nice move up, you've dropped down, you haven't yet broken the uptrend. Okay, we've not made a lower low here. But what we have done is seen a significant rejection. Now, I'd say if there is to be a bounce that takes us back up into these imbalances, that's quite a lot of time spent up at these highs. That will be difficult to break through. So if we are to get a deep retrace into that starts to test back up into that 64.4, 64.6 kind of zone, it would be a reasonable opportunity to look for shorts, maybe to take out these lows. We formed a nice like just range here of almost equal lows, where you have one that's here, 62,360. You got one that's at 62,320, and you got one that's here at 62,410. Fairly equal lows. They could be something that could be targeted for these single prints here, and then you just continue to form this range, another kind of corrective move to what we've seen. So some nice levels to be looking at. I think also, I haven't checked this yet, but if I go on to this chart here, then we have left behind, I think, the previous day POC. No, actually, we have just tapped into that previous day point of control already. So that was there at 62,800. Price has come down into that, but of course, we do have these imbalances below, and there are some naked points of control that are slightly below us. That, once again, do lead us towards that same area where the CME gap is on the chart. So yeah, that is kind of what we're looking at. Some nice little range to form. I'm just going to pop this on here. We're going to look at the session volume profile on Coinbase. But yeah, I would imagine we're looking at that previous day point of control has already been tested. Yep, so there we are. We've run just slightly below it, and then it's a big drop down to 60K if this doesn't hold. So looking for that range right now, kind of just repeating once again. Looking at these single prints down here oops, sorry, I didn't have it on my screen. we've hit the POC, previous day point of control here. And then looking for this area of single prints to hold for now, and probably looking at this area to be resistance, and we can look for scalp trades in between that area. Maybe come back into a test of this POC, the daily point of control. Like, let's say if we trade within this zone today, then we do have an MPOC above us that could then be like boom, boom, and we can get kind of this price action. But looking at the points of control, looking for where your balance is, where your balance is, where your balance is, and looking for where your imbalance is. Okay, imbalance, imbalance, imbalance. Then those are the levels to be trading off of. Add some confluence in with fibs, add some confluence in with your high time frame levels, such as your monthly open, add some confluence in with your VWAPs, for example, which we will be looking at as a downtrending day today. So bounce back into VWAP could set up a nice short opportunity. Those are the kind of things to be looking to trade. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to wrap this up. This has been a half an hour long video. Always the case. I mean, there has been quite a lot to cover today. But that is, yeah, I think that's everything that we really need to go over. So have a great day, everybody. And I'm going to continue on with the live stream. And we're going to look at some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, all of that kind of thing in a moment. But yeah, please do hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Check the links below if you're interested in joining the crew. Also, if you'd like to just support the channel, we are partnered with and supported by BloFin and WooX. They are two fantastic exchanges. So if you'd like to trade over there, get some discounts on fees and some other juicy goodness, then do click on the links below. We very much appreciate that. But yeah, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye. Stop recording. How was that half an hour long? I waffle. I waffle. Now let's get this recording straight away. Let's get the music back on. And let me start uploading this video. And then I'll have a little look at what's going on in the chats. Any questions, any comments in the chat, do let me know. We'll take a look at Ethereum in a second. We'll take a look at some altcoins in a second as well. But I just need to get this uploaded. Where are we at? 62K. Good morning, Dusty Hunt. Okay, let's post this on to X as well. Upload that. What do you think about Mt. Gox news? They moved 95,000 Bitcoin for tokens. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. The thing that you've also got to think about is that the Mt. Gox creditors, right? The people that are going to be getting the money. If you were trading on Mt. Gox, you're almost guaranteed to be a Bitcoin, like you're a Bitcoin OG, right? Are they really going to sell all their tokens once they start to receive them? I just really don't think it's a big deal. Like, yeah, okay, cool. A load of people will get some money back. But are they going to dump on the market, at market, as soon as they receive those coins? Or are they going to know because they've been in the market, if they were in Mt. Gox, they've been in the market since before probably the vast majority of people here, like since 2013. They're going to know how these cycles work. They're going to wait for higher prices, surely, right? So I don't think that the Mt. Gox creditors are going to be like, they're going to be the big permables that are getting a lot of this stuff, the big OGs. So yeah, I just don't see it being an issue. I really don't. And the thing is, the ETFs are eating up more supply than that. So yeah, I don't think it's a big problem. The same as I just didn't think the Germany thing was a big problem. Like there's supply everywhere, right? People sell stuff, people buy stuff. It's a marketplace. The market has plenty of liquidity to absorb all of that, and it's not going to all happen at once. So yeah, no, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. If there's dips, there's dips. It doesn't matter what the reason for that is, right? The fact that we dropped, I mean, how far did we drop? And if we look at the volume over the past like few weeks, how much supply was there to create this drop? So we're looking at daily volume here. 20.6k Bitcoin yesterday was traded. When we had that big dump, that was 28,000 Bitcoin was traded. So if they're moving 95,000, that's what, 3-4 times the daily volume that happens on Bitcoin. And it's kind of insignificant. It would have, every single one of those coins would have to be sold at market at exactly the same time, and then you'd see maybe 3 to 4 times the move that we have on an average one-day candle. So, I mean, if Mt. Gox were to dump all their tokens in one go on one day, it would probably be enough to send us to 58, but no lower than that. That's about the price impact it could have. Yeah. When you look at the volume that gets done here, and you've got to remember there's going to be buying that's involved within that as well. There's ETF inflows, there's all of this kind of stuff. But if you just have a pure 1,000 Bitcoin being sold at market on the open market, add in all the other considerations into the fact, you're probably not going to get much more than a 10 to 15% move down from something of that size. So it's completely insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It means nothing. It's just not worth paying attention to at all, in my opinion. Yeah. When will you start live trading? I mean, I can look at some trades. There's not really anything to look at right now. If there was to be a move back up towards 64,400 during the stream, I'd probably take a trade on the stream. But if we're not going to get anything, then I won't take anything. Like I've said before, I am just focusing on the higher time frames for now. It's just what's very easy to do. You just buy the stuff, go long on the dips, and just let it play out. We're gonna have 6, 8, 10 months of melt up very, very soon. So put in the work now, and then you just don't have to do anything for the rest of the year. literally, I put in the work when we had this drop. I bought some a little bit early. I bought some afterwards. I'm well in profit now, and I'm very confident we're going to be seeing melt up for the rest of the year. So after another range forms, whatever happens now, insignificant. This range is insignificant. You just want to accumulate with it. It's a reaccumulation range. You want to use the range to reaccumulate, and that's kind of it. But yeah, little trades in between, fine. Where was I? I haven't posted the video yet. I get distracted too easily. So that can be uploaded, and it's a little bit of a clickbaity title. Because I don't think we're going to new all-time highs next, but you get the idea. Cool. Video is uploaded. What's going on good old Twitter today? Have a little look. Yeah. I just posted there. Yeah, so if you're not following already, go and follow at Taurus Crypto. I post the updates every morning. And we posted some other stuff. I've covered everything that I wanted to on this, haven't I? Yeah, so it's the first confirmed market change since the start of June. We'll go over some ETH stuff next. And of course, if anyone has any questions in the chat, then do let me know. Right. Ethereum analysis, because I think this is kind of interesting also. I'm going to record this. I'm probably just going to post it up onto X. And we'll do it that way. So I'm just going to stop this. Cool. Okay, so Ethereum. It's been in a bit of a... to actually trade this recently hasn't been the best. Actually, no, I'm going to re-record this because it was bullshit. Let's press record again on Ethereum. All right. Yeah, Ethereum analysis. So I've not been trading Ethereum quite as much as Bitcoin lately, but actually, I think the ETH BTC pair has been one of the easiest charts within the whole space to chart. So getting these rotations has been fairly easy. And we're back into a point now where I think we may see a little bit of short-term underperformance from Ethereum. We do continuously see, and I am starting on this this ETH BTC chart to begin with for a reason, because this for me is the key chart to really be looking at when you're trading Ethereum. Now, back since October 2023, we've consistently found that this just above 0.05 has consistently acted as support. We have that little run below, and in a similar situation to what we're seeing on Bitcoin, with myself believing that we're going through a reaccumulation, I do believe that this is an accumulation. So it's not a reaccumulation because we've come down and we've been in a downtrend. We are looking at this as being a shift in momentum that's going to take time to play out. But I am looking overall at a shift in momentum that takes Ethereum back up towards range highs eventually later on this year. Now, what we've seen from this is through this whole thing, okay, you can look at this being a big accumulation with a smaller one in between there. You have your highs that get put in that create divergence. You come down, you sweep the lows. Similar thing to what we've seen from Bitcoin in this range that we've been playing. I can post this back onto here with this similar accumulation schematic is what I believe we are seeing from Ethereum, where you create these highs. Okay, you come down, you get this first spring, you have the lower high, you have the long drawn out. That's the wrong schematic. I want to add this one. That's the right one. You have this long drawn out drop that comes back down here into phase C. You get a second spring that comes into liquidity below, taking out this phase B low. And then we're looking for just a gradual, just recovery before it goes on to new highs. Not necessarily new all-time highs. That would be pretty insane. But I am looking at Ethereum overall through the rest of this cycle to be fairly bullish. I do believe that we can see a situation from ETH with the ETF as being a catalyst that can take it back up towards that 0.1 Bitcoin mark. Okay, so Ethereum overall on the very high time frames does look really constructive here. Now, from the lower time frames, okay, I am considering this to be a bit more tradable. Okay, I'm not looking at this to be a complete right. We're going to be super bullish on Ethereum, but I do believe that overall within the cycle, it represents probably the best opportunity that's currently out there for just a buy and hold, looking a year ahead into the future. And expecting much bigger things for this to outpace once the market really starts to kick off again. A couple of things we can be looking at from this, because it's become fairly technical as well. We do look at the very similar price action. This is almost identical to what Bitcoin's been doing within this local range to what we're seeing from Ethereum on a much higher time frame perspective. There are things that we can look at is for a sign of strength, we will be looking for that break back above that 0.065 area. But also just locally, okay, you can anchor VWAPs from these highs, and you can look at what we're doing now, which is starting to flip this back into support, where I do believe that this zone here, this 0.05 to 0.052 zone should be acted as very good buying opportunities to rotate into ETH when there is the opportunity to do that. We go down onto the lower time frames, and it's been very easy to read. Okay, very easy to read, especially the pullbacks. Knowing when to get out of Ethereum has been the main thing. You know you're going to get strong bounces every time it comes into this area, but knowing when to get out of those bounces has been really important. And we just see these continuous, just almost like head and shoulder patterns that play out. I've been drawing these arrows in real time. These aren't just added after the fact to show this. When we were up here, we were looking at a move back down into this area. Once again, it did a very similar thing. Okay, you form this range. As soon as you start to get this just movement here that's just not quite holding on to it, we know that a move back down into support is likely. And once again, we're seeing a similar situation here where we have this trend line that's starting to form, okay? And what we would look for again here is, I do think that we could probably push up a little bit higher, but when that starts to break, we would be looking for another move back down into that. And I think that can continue happening for a while until the market really starts to pick up again. Of course, if Bitcoin moves on and starts to make new all-time highs, then that's likely going to cause Ethereum to come back down into this area. But when it does come into that area, I'd look for that rotation out of Bitcoin back into Ethereum. I think that could be really, really useful. So again, higher time frame perspective, but I do think that if Bitcoin starts to move, looking for that area around about that 0.05 BTC would be a good area to get back into it. Now, if Bitcoin does start to melt up, then of course we can see these drops back into this area that go deeper, like we've seen on previous occasions, okay, where you dip below, but I do think that gets quickly recovered. And when you do get those recoveries, they do end up being like real massive recoveries from Ethereum. So a really interesting chart to be looking at if you are trading ETH is to know where these rotations are likely to occur. Now, the reason why I'm looking at maybe a little bit of weakness and coming back down into this area is if Bitcoin does continue to put in a range here. Ethereum, we've seen a bit more of just a bit more of a bigger move, I guess. So it dropped a little bit more. You've had it, well, actually both of them are 25% moves from the lows. So similar kind of price action, but with Ethereum, we are coming back into that overall range points of control here at 3,500. And once again, very similar to what we're seeing on Bitcoin, there is that 618. Now, this is less of like the range that Bitcoin's been putting in. Okay, with ETH, you had this like wedge that had formed. It didn't come up and take the highs, so it didn't reach target for that. But also you haven't come back and you haven't failed from this pattern. It's just dropped out from this wedge and is starting to form, I think, a range here. I do believe that it's going to be difficult for it to break through this. So with Ethereum, it is at that local resistance here. You go onto the 4-hour time frame, you can see that move above monthly open, very similar to what Bitcoin did, and that move into that POC here. So it's going to need volume, it's going to need a catalyst in order to break through it. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot. So if it does flip that 3,500, I do believe that Ethereum could make new all-time highs probably before Bitcoin does. But that really is like, it's a little bit hopeful at this stage. I think Ethereum looking like the better opportunity for shorts locally to take us back down to that 3,200. So if you can get entries for short positions around about 3,500, looking for that move down to 3,200, I think could play out quite well. And you're still looking bullish after that. That's just going to be a simple retrace. And once again, you look at the relationship with ETH BTC pair. Is that going to drop back down into the support here? And also looking at Bitcoin, what is that doing locally? Are we looking at ETH being the better trade here, providing the better opportunities, or does it make more sense just to continue to trade Bitcoin? So yeah, that's kind of my overall view on ETH. I moved this. That's my overall view on Ethereum right now. I think, yeah, high time frame resistance is where it's at. There is an opportunity that it could come up and sweep these highs, maybe take out the high that we had from the beginning of July, so take out our monthly high before getting a retrace. But I would be very interested, I think, in looking at shorts in that area to recover this move down. The invalidation of that, of course, would be if it does flip, holds a support, then you'd look for longs with this being the invalidation in order to make those new highs. So yeah, just keeping it very, very simple on Ethereum, basically at the moment. Using the 4-hour time frame, that's been working really, really well recently across most assets, and sticking to that really. So yeah, don't really have much more to say, but thank you. Cool. I'm just going to post this onto X as well. I'm not going to post this one onto YouTube, but Cool. Any altcoins we want to take a look at before we wrap it up for this morning? Because we've done a good hour. Also, is the description on this wrong? Damn. Yeah, I need to edit this stream. Still got an old link in the stream description, which we don't want anymore. Bing X can. Blech. Here we go. Perfect. Casper, Ondo, Pendle, Pepe showing strength versus the rest of the market. Cool. Cool. All right. Just trying to multitask. I'm not very good at it. Let's start with Cass. I'm just going to do Cass, Ondo, Pendle, Pepe because those are the three that people have asked for when I suggested it. If you are doing if you're going to ask for any more, make sure you get those in straight away. Casper. I don't think it's going to go much higher, if I'm honest. I think that the problem that we have with Casper is it's one of the few coins where the consensus by like pretty much every influencer out there is that, oh my God, Casper is going to be like the most bullish thing ever in the world, in the history of the world ever. I don't see that really happening. Where is it? What's its market cap? It's number 28, right? It's number 28 on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. It has a $4 billion market cap. Yes, okay, all of it's circulating the supply is out. That's kind of bullish. Ooh, I struggle to see big gains left on this. I really do. I mean, yeah, it could probably get to like a $10 billion valuation. fairly easily. We may find that it ends up going up here, but I just think you've got to realize the reason that so many people are so bullish on this is because it was a very easy buy for anyone who was paying attention in any way in the bear market. Okay, this was like Link was the bear market savior for a lot of people. Anyone that accumulated Link, or even Cardano, anyone that accumulated Link or Cardano in the 2018, 2019 bear market, it was a very, very, very easy buy. It was obvious, okay? It was the only thing that was half decent that was out there. And anyone who's worth anything in this market will have had Casper in their portfolio in 2022. I was saying it, I was like, this is the best coin that we have fundamentally within a bear market. It's the only thing that can really outpace it because of the way that the supply was, because of the way that the fundamentals are. And I was very bullish. And I bought this all the way down here at 0.002 cents. $0.002, 0.2 cents. And we're up here at 20 cents now, almost. It's done 100x for me. Are you really going to get another 10x out of that once it's already done 100x? Maybe. But the probabilities for those 10x plays are probably elsewhere in newer stuff, because there are going to be a lot of tokens out there that do this. So I don't see there being too much more upside. Now, from a technical point of view, it's okay, but I probably would be more inclined to short this here. Okay, this to me looks like distribution. All right. What it has been doing is creating these divergences, daily divergence, higher high with lower RSI, higher high with a lower RSI, higher high with a lower RSI, 4 times in a row. What there also is there's a lot of liquidity below us. Now, if the whole market starts pumping, which I do think is going to happen, then this distribution probably isn't going to play out. But are you going to outpace Bitcoin, and are you going to outpace Ethereum, and are you going to outpace the rest of the market? I don't know if there's a Casper Bitcoin pair. There is. So you can look at the Casper Bitcoin pair. Are you going to make more from holding CAS than you are from holding Bitcoin or other alts? I would say probably not. However, when you do look at the BTC pair, it does look kind of good. But I just don't know. Like, for me, it's a difficult one to chart because it's done so much for me personally. Like, it's been a really good hold. It's been one of the best I've ever, like one of the best. You call it a trade. It's not really. It's been a long-term investment essentially, and it's been one of the best that I've ever done within crypto. I've done very well from it, and for me, I'm just like, I no longer have. The only thing I have a few tokens left, so I can make a money shot of 100x from the low, but I don't have it in my portfolio anymore. It's done what it needed to do. I don't think of it as being anything that I'd be interested in getting back into because I'm never going to get that opportunity again. And no one who's looking at this chart is going to get that opportunity. So for me, it doesn't make sense to be looking at the chart like this, that's already up 100x. Find the next one that's going to do it. Casper isn't going to change your life by buying it now. It may multiply by a few times, but it's very high valuation already. It can go higher. It could probably, I'd say it probably will go to a $10 billion valuation. It probably will continue to go higher, but for me right now, it looks more like a distribution, but I think that the market bullishness as a whole will save it from going lower yet. Now, what I would expect to happen a little bit more would probably be, okay, it continues to push up, but not to get those big percentages, and the next bear market's going to hit it really bad, and eventually you come down to that 5 cent zone again. And if it comes, it will. I don't think it comes into the equation at all. I'm very confident that why don't you just wait until the next bear market? because it's almost certainly going to come down to 5 cents at some point. I believe, like I strongly believe something like that. So even if we go through a bit more of this, I still think that this is overall distribution that we're seeing up here. We're not seeing more accumulation from this. Everyone has the money already. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's done its thing. So yeah, sorry, from a technical perspective, I mean, there's going to be the odd good trade. For now, it looks like a good short. I'd say you're looking at a good short now on this, but shorts aren't going to play out unless the market turns around. But yeah, I'd certainly be more inclined to look for short positions on this at the moment. Maybe even exactly right where it is now. You have some high time frame levels. There's probably some interesting stuff going on there. But yeah, have a look at the levels. I just want to give an overall bias for that one. It's not something I particularly trade. Ondo or Pendle? Let's have a look at. I'm going to just quickly scan both of them, see which chart looks nicer, then chart it. Ondo's too high. Pendle's better. Yep, so Pendle, I'm going to do Pendle. This is something I'd spoken about in another stream. From the spring, I think we just had this put in, and we were like, okay, if we can reclaim these lows, then you're set up for a good long position. I think we've got a setup here that does give the opportunity for a long, right? Now, I did this as a setup before we had that final drop. I think we just swept these lows, and then we were looking at this on a stream. But I think the reclaim, this is your yearly VWAP. Okay, it's been holding a support here, held a support here. You run below, similar to what's happened on Bitcoin. I would be looking at, yeah, like I say, that situation here where you're looking at a long position for continuation on this, because this looks a little bit healthier. Yes, okay, you're up quite a lot, but I don't think the valuation on Pendle is too concerning. You're 115. It's below $1 billion market cap. All right, you're at 690 million market cap. I think the fundamentals for this are quite good. I think a lot of people like it. I think this has got more in it. So I think this is earlier on in its cycle. Whereas you look at like Casper that I was showing earlier, this is like early stage from what we saw from the likes of Casper or something. It's earlier on in its cycle. There's more potential for upside. And when you look at the potential for upside, I'd say you can fairly easily get some good targets for this. Is you probably would just go for, you look at your fib levels, and then you just put on your expansions. Okay, $10 is your 1.618, right? Just above $10. So if you're looking for a trade like this, where, okay, we've had the spring, you're looking to reaccumulate here around $4. If there's the opportunity to do that, $4.20. Let's get 420. All right, I don't really care about the entries on these right now because overall insignificant. I'm expecting higher across most assets that haven't already completed a market cycle. There are certain assets that I believe have completed a market cycle already. Casper being one of them. A lot of the Solana ecosystem being another one. A lot of meme coins being another one. So I wouldn't be looking at those as the opportunities, but things like this have not yet completed that market cycle. And I do think that there is more to come from these. So I think, yeah, Pendle looks good. I think a very simple trade, looking at this being a reclaim level, as long as the market is okay, looks pretty good here. Lucifer, why do people keep on requesting massively overvalued vaporware that either already pumped, had a cycle, or just pumped? I know that's the way the market is. Every time I get questions from it, like people are like, "Oh, can you look at this asset?" And I'm like, "Why?" The opportunities that you need to look at is the shit that hasn't done this yet, and those are the opportunities that I try and give everyone all the time. But every time I get questions, I'm like, "Oh, can you look at this? Oh, can you look at that?" I'm like, there's no opportunity anymore. It's gone. It's gone. Pepe, Dave, is back at the range POC. So if you're long on Pepe, I would be taking profit here. I would absolutely be taking profit here. I need to clean this up. So you have, that is point of control. Yeah, that is this downtrend POC. You're back into that downtrend POC. You have recovered the majority of the big move down. We also have this anchored VWAP from these highs coming in. Now, where are your moving averages? I would imagine we've probably got a moving average that's just up here as well. No, okay, you're a little bit better. I'd say, but Pepe's easy as well. Pepe's really, really straightforward when you look at this. I'd say if you're long from the lows, you'd be taking profit now, and you'd potentially be looking for shorts. But if you get a retrace, look, you've got value area low on your 200 EMA. And that is going to also line up with golden pocket, right? So you've immediately got confluence there. Immediately. You pop that on there. Okay, a little bit deeper. But if you get that retrace below 50% on here, if you get a move back down that comes back down into these lows, like 0. However many zeros that is, 1. Yeah, we're at 1, 2. If you come back down to 1, a good opportunity to rebuy, reaccumulate there. We've had a similar situation, haven't we? Where it's come back up, it's run up. I would imagine this would have been a range POC that this ran back up into. Yeah, it went slightly above it. This is going slightly above it. Maybe it continues a bit higher, pushes into this little imbalance that's here, low volume node, potentially before retracing. But if you want to buy as something that's going to do the next stage of the cycle, I would be looking for something like this, and then we're looking for higher. I think just a lot of the market's looking like this right now, looking like that. So yeah, it's looking good, but I think short term we're probably seeing a bit of a local top from this one. Can you chart Doge? Yeah, Doge I think is a good opportunity. Again, it's done what we said it would, right? Reclaiming that monthly level. We're back. You had the sweep below. Everything's doing this, guys. Everything has had, the vast majority of things, the things that haven't already had a cycle. I believe we've seen the spring in a reaccumulation. And from here, we go to new highs. We do not go back down to lows from here. Now, that doesn't mean you can't chop around for a little bit and it goes slow, all right? But in my opinion, the strength that we've seen from the market, that is the strength. We've seen, I think yesterday was that day, and we had this back in October where we can say that's the strength. We've been waiting for that strength. We had it. We've changed market structure. It's go time. So now you're just looking for those pullbacks in order to go. And Doge is the same situation, okay? Anyone who is long here, got liquidated, you're now back where it would have been. If you just remain patient on those positions, if you hadn't sold at the bottom, you'd be back in profit again, and it would all be happy days. I was buying Doge when it was here, okay? It went down. I didn't care at all. We had some guy that came onto the stream that was like, "Oh, I told you Doge was going to go down to 6 cents." I'm like, I don't care. It's going to be a spring. It's going to be back up here in no time. Doesn't bother me. And that's what I believe is happening. And I do think that Doge is going to be making new highs. It's going to go to $1. So I'm chill with Doge. I think it's a spring. We're back in support. We're holding it again. Very simple. Inverse head and shoulders. Bang. We go to new all-time highs fairly soon. Not new all-time highs, but you get the idea. Doge looks great. Really good opportunity. That's one of the alts, Aaron, that I'm looking at as being a very good opportunity because it has had such a long accumulation. It's dipped back in. It's corrected everything. It's quickly reclaimed that what could have turned into resistance and been very bearish. It's flipped what was support back into support again for a second time after just sweeping and stopping people out. And I think now everything's cleared the way for higher prices afterwards. So yeah, very, very, very good. Doge is looking very, very good. There are other things as well. You know that I'm looking at ZRO. This has had a nice back test of what was resistance into support. So yesterday there was a good opportunity here for a trade. Okay, what did it do? We'd spoken about this on the streams. All right, we had its launch. You made a high, you were unable to hold it. but then on 2 occasions, you're holding this area, this $3.60. We were saying $3.60 looks like a good area to accumulate as long as you're not losing that zone, and we're expecting higher prices on there. It's now holding around this POC, so I do believe that with ZRO we can be seeing higher prices. I think we've now got 4-hour moving averages that are starting to offer some support. It's now seen enough price action that we can start to get some real good expansion to the upside here. So I'm still accumulating this. I still think this is very early on. Whether you're buying at $2.50 or $4.20, I believe it's insignificant when we think that this is going to go above 10, maybe up to $20 in the long run. There is ZK, I think is interesting. I think it's ZK. Looks kind of interesting here. There's not too much to be going on right now, but I just like it's a new project that's launched, and I think there's opportunity here. So if you want to look for something that has a pretty decent valuation, we know there's no unlocks until next summer on ZK. We know there's no unlocks until next summer on ZRO. We know there's no unlocks until next summer on ATH, and therefore the supply is not going to be coming into this market in that way. We also know that that's likely where the next bear market's going to be, okay? But these are the opportunities now. I think ZK Sync looks really good. ZRO looks really good. ATH looks really good. This is another one. You're looking at new projects that are stable in the first stage of accumulation before they start a market cycle. So those are the three for myself that I have been accumulating. You're not going to get, like, the thing is from this, you're not going to get 100x's out of these, okay? Because we're in a bull market. The valuations will be higher. So I'm not expecting them to do a CAS, for example. Okay, Casper launched at the depths of a bear market with 100% circulating supply fairly quickly at an extremely low valuation. It just kind of just popped up out of nowhere. There was not really any VC involved. There wasn't all that kind of thing. That's the market it was in. And the reason for that is it almost acted like a meme coin and like a Solana coin, where it just appeared. And it had a very low valuation, and then the market had to create that valuation for it. The stuff like this, the stuff like ATH, Aether, the stuff like ZK, Sync, the stuff like ZRO, it has done price discovery before hitting the charts. There are VCs involved. All right, so it's already done maybe the first 10x. But out of that, I do believe that it has the opportunity for another 10x from its launch, which is what we see in the bull market. So we have to understand that we are going into the final stage of a bull market before everything collapses. All right? We have 6 to 8 months to make it. After that, done. All right? Done for another 4 years. So you're not going to get, a lot of the returns have already been seen. You're not going to get 100x's anymore. Unless you're very, very lucky, unless something just self-launches out of nowhere. It's not going to happen. But there is still opportunity there, and I do believe that there's really good opportunity with these new assets that are there. So just, you got to be realistic from it. You can't go, oh my God, look at this thing, ZRO, it's going to go to $100. It's just not. Like, I mean, if it does, like, fucking ridiculous. But I think we could easily expect $10 to $20 on something like that. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at. So yeah, those are probably my 3 picks right now. There are low caps. I'm looking at, Orbi being one, Orbital 7. So this is a lower cap. If I go on here, Orbi, this is a BTC Orbital 7. So I'll bring this up on here. It's tiny. It's a tiny, tiny little low cap. Okay. All right. $11 million valuation, fully diluted valuation. It's tiny. But I've bought some of this. I like what it's doing. This is smart contracts on BTC. All right. So build, burn, stake, vest, so much more. It's a Bitcoin ecosystem token. If we're maybe looking at the opportunity for 100x gains, you're going to have to gamble on stuff like this. that could go to zero, but I kind of like it, right? I think this is quite nice. It's Bitcoin ecosystem. I think it will do well. It's smart contracts on Bitcoin. It's BRC20, and I kind of like it. So that's one of the ones from a low cap perspective. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. They're the ones that I'm mainly involved in. I'm probably going to do a video at some stage going over my full portfolio. There is, I mean, we can even look at things like stacks. Like the problem is, I like, again, I went a little bit under on this. I didn't do particularly well from it, but you just have to be patient, right? We were looking at stacks as being a really nice opportunity to buy it when it swept these lows and when it filled this, okay? And I was quite bullish on where it was, and I was buying a little bit here as well. All right, so I was buying stacks at like $2, $1.60. It dropped down lower, but at least you're not buying at the highs. And this is what I mean. I think overall it's insignificant. I think at some point it flips and it makes new highs. And I think the Bitcoin ecosystem is going to do really well. So it's that kind of thing. And there's other things that are out there. Like, I'm no longer in this, but it's something that I may consider now. I did some rebalancing, but I was looking at mint layer, and I was accumulating mint layer here. Once we lost that, I cut it. But if it gets back inside and it starts to hold again, maybe I add that back to my portfolio again. Because I do believe that we're seeing this from a lot of stuff. I believe that we're looking at a real good opportunity now. If you just stayed patient over the last like couple of months, that's all you really need to do is stay patient. I maybe wasn't patient enough. I was getting into some stuff early, but you don't know that you're going to get the dip below support. Like, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get that. So if it does happen, you just lose time, because it is going to go back to the same price that it was. Yeah. Because what have you done? If you're buying an asset here at 25 cents and it drops below, it's only like time that you've lost. Okay, because once it gets back to that point, it becomes a good buy again. Yeah. So your expected value from buying here and buying here is very, very vastly different. What most people should do is buy here. But what you don't know you're going to get is this. Like, the market could do this and could bounce off of your level. So it's like, it's a different kind of thing that plays out. But yeah. Anyway, I've yeah, I've realized I've got a call, and I've got some stuff that I need to do very soon. So I am going to wrap it up here. But I think this overall has been a pretty good stream. We've looked at some good stuff. I'll be back again tomorrow, as always. So yeah, have a really good day, everybody. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.